Live. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is eHonda420 coming at you with another chat. I hate it when people fucking start chats like that. It's the gayest way to start it. God damn it, me. Why the fuck would you do that shit? It's the worst way to start a chat. All right, well, welcome to this shitty fucking chat with a shitty fucking host about some shitty shit that's going on in the shitty world. It's called the Gay Frog Chat. The fuck is going on? The fuck is going on, everybody? I hope everybody out there is doing well tonight.
Going on?
We are making chicken fettuccine Alfredo from fucking Costco over here, and it said to put it in the oven for an hour until it reaches an internal temperature of 160 degrees. Well, it's been an hour, and it's like 120 degrees on the inside. Goddamn altitude making things cook longer. Anyway, I hope everybody out there is doing well. I hope everybody in the panel here is doing well. How you guys doing tonight? Leo, how you doing, man?
Finally, really actually getting over the cold I had last week. It was horrible. Now I'll still just get all like that backup phlegm in your chest and stuff.
You see my third eye pimple that I got in the middle of my face?
Oh, you're 18 again? Nice.
Oh, yeah, man. It was like 3 times this size a couple days ago. It was pretty bad. Sucks when that shit happens. You just, you get a deep one sometimes. It goes deep on you. Anyway. Deep. Corey, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, brother. How are you doing?
Pretty all right. Just doing the thing that I do. Work and such and kids and stuff and bullshit. Booyah. How's everything with your circle of things?
It's actually been going pretty good here lately, so that's been a plus. I just stuffed my face hole a while ago. I made pork chops smothered in onions, over bed of brown rice, and brown gravy.
I had Italian beef today. Made it myself.
Nice.
I thought all you Texas people just ate like fucking like Tex-Mex all the time. It was like queso and fucking like cheese dip and like avocados and stuff. Fucking
steak,
ground beef,
and some Jimmy Dean's sausage and mashed potatoes.
Jimmy Dean's.
Y'all seen what I've made before, so I cook very broadly.
Oh, I know. That's what I was going to say. Is you are the exception to the rule, or maybe the thing that proves the rule incorrect. I don't know which. Haven't decided yet. And Ohio, how you doing, good sir?
Oh, I could be better. Mom unfortunately had a fall yesterday. Fell right through the hole to my bedroom and hit right in my bed, or on the side of the bed.
What?
Smacked her back in the bed.
Your mom fell through the floor?
No. So the frame of the door that's on where my bedroom is here, we have no door to the actual bedroom. It's just a sheet that goes across. And she was basically trying to go to the bathroom yesterday morning, got dizzy after she got up, didn't realize that she wasn't going to be able to make it all the way. And then as soon as you hit that area, she just like fell back into the bedroom, basically.
So she fell into your bed while peeing?
No, she fell back on. She was going to the bathroom. She was literally on her way to go to the bathroom and fell back on the frame of my bed, basically, and smacked herself in the back real bad. So.
Man, I could have sworn you said she fell through the ceiling.
I thought that's what it sounded like when you said the story the first time. It sounded like you were like she stepped through the floor and like fell through the floor, and now her hips in my bed or something. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, but that's what I heard. Yeah. I was like, "What? Oh my god!"
That was she
shit
hurt herself real bad, and then I got into a bunch of stuff yesterday with some people over why social media companies should be public utilities at this point. So,
see, Saberwolf having internet issues, aren't we all?
Yep. All right.
The lights on my modem doesn't come on anymore, so I just gotta hope that my internet is working.
Wait, the lights on your modem don't come on?
No, not anymore. Nope. It just blank.
Wow. It's high tech. You should probably call the company that gave you the modem or whatever. Tell them their modem sucks.
Right.
There, now I can fucking finally hear y'all clearly. For some reason, every time I try to join your chats on my cell phone recently, it robots like a motherfucker.
It's all that internet porn you've been watching on that cell phone there, Corey.
Oh yeah, you know it.
Gumming up the works. So let's get into a couple of stories here. I don't have a ton pulled up, but I have a couple of things we can talk about tonight, and then go wherever you guys want to go after that.
Like
Did
praising Nazis?
Did you guys see the Canadian Parliament giving not one but two standing ovations to a Nazi soldier for fighting against the Russians on the behalf of Ukraine, fighting against the Russians on behalf of the Nazis, during World War II? And they gave him fucking two standing ovations.
Yeah,
I had to read the story 3 times. Just to see,
I didn't see that.
Did I
part
get
of
this
it.
right?
What I saw was the dumb cunt who tried to compare the Canadian truckers to Hitler with the Hong Kong.
Yeah.
No, this is the Canadian Parliament literally standing ovation clapping for a Nazi. Not a figurative Nazi, not like, like this guy's like ideology is in line with Nazi ideology or something. No. This guy was literally a Nazi.
Actual Nazi.
Yeah.
Yes. But the truckers are the real Nazis. The freedom truckers are the real Nazis.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So he was the... Oh, would you pause, please? God damn it. The 14th Waffen Grenadier Division of the SS. So he was like in the 14th SS. Dude literally had an SS on his shoulder. Literally. Not even joking.
Yes.
Fucking great, dude. 10 out of 10. I love it when the mask slips for a second and they forget.
Thunderbolts and all. Lightning bolts and all.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's this story. 2 people dressed up as FBI to break into people's houses. The owner opens fire. Nice, bro. How did you know they were robbers? Robbers?
Robbers? Right. All I heard was FBI.
Right.
No, yeah, robbers. Right. Yes.
That's what they were.
Yeah.
I like it. I thought that was funny.
But back to the Nazi thing, though. Come on, like in 2023.
Well, dude, I mean,
about
who are the Nazis today? Who would be the brown shirts causing disruption, like the Night of Broken Glass, where like they went around like smashing up Jewish people's homes and businesses and got away with it because it was basically sanctioned by the government. So they got to go around violating people's property rights on behalf of a government that would not enforce anything against them for doing so. What does that sound like? Does it sound like Antifa maybe, or BLM in the streets of cities, smashing things up, getting in people's faces, smashing people's cars, etc., and none of them getting in trouble? Does it sound a bit like that?
Sounds a lot like it.
Technically, I think Antifa and BLM would be the SA of the 2020s, and they would get hit by the SS and then they had the long knives.
Good. They deserve it.
But they gave this man a standing ovation.
So here's the number of stillbirths from 1990 to 2023. Anything weird pop out at you?
Seems like just around COVID time, maybe some shots might have did it. That's what I'm guessing.
Yeah,
Could
it's
be, possibly.
almost like there was a brand new something or other, like a drug that like everyone had to take pretty much. Right? Yeah. Something, I forget what happened in 2021, really. I mean, it's a whole blur of activity.
So it's kind of a boring year, if you ask me.
Yeah, nothing really happened. We actually got to play a lot of video games.
This is true.
Yeah. But there's this story, right? And I'm going to skip ahead a couple of stories to this story. Bombshell emails prove Biden regime hid deadly COVID jab risks from public. So this just came out. This is double fact check, September 24th, 2023, written by whatever that fucking dude, Taibbi, Sean Taibbi, Tabi. I don't know what the fuck his name is. Point being, they now have, through Freedom of Information Act, information that has come out through actual journalism going on somewhere. Someone's doing some actual journalism that's proving that Biden and his White House knew that the COVID jab had deadly risks for people, had deadly risks for mothers who were expecting children, obviously, based upon that graph that we were just looking at, and decided that the best course of action, the best thing that they could possibly do, is lie to people to get them to do what they want them to do, which is take the fucking vaccine and shut the fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
So my whole point with this is next time your government's, standing up on their pulpit saying like, oh, you got to do this for the better of everybody. You got to go ahead and, send your children into the meat grinder for World War III. You got to, whatever it is, whatever the next fucking thing's going to be. Cause I don't fucking know. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what the fucking next thing is, but I guarantee you there's a next fucking thing and they already fucking know what it is. And so when that next fucking thing happens and they start lying and giving me like YouTube strikes for talking about it and whoever else like kicking us off the internet because we're actually speaking truth instead of, and it's not even necessarily truth. It's just thinking. It's just fucking thinking. It's using goddamn reason and logic that they don't fucking like. They want you to be alone and isolated and with your own faculties without anybody else to, you know what I mean? Like they want everybody fucking controlled, and that's the best way to do it, is not only to limit what I can say and what other people can say on the internet, but but also control what you can listen to, what you're able to hear, what information is able to grace your fucking brain. That's what they really want.
Yep, till they find the next boogeyman. No, because we don't have Al Qaeda and ISIS anymore. We're not in the Middle East, so we need a new boogeyman.
Yeah, it takes them a while to create that stuff.
What's that?
It takes them a while to create that stuff.
Well, I mean, they gotta like game plan it and think about it. Remember that what was it called? Event 201. What's up, Saber Wolf? How you doing, man?
Doing good, man. How are you guys?
Good.
All right.
Do you remember Event 201?
Sorry, no, I don't. You have to fill me in.
So that was the put on. I think it was the World Health Organization, WHO, put on this multinational convention, basically, where they went through a infection scenario where a COVID vaccine infected everybody and had like very similar effects to what was going on, and what should they do with businesses, and they made all these just like, I don't know, decisions, I guess, based upon the findings from their convention. And then COVID happened and they put all of those things into implementation like they were planning on it. It's weird.
Yeah, that is pretty interesting. Doing
Wasn't
a
that
dry
the thing
run
that took-
before it.
Wasn't the thing that took place in like 2019?
Yes, it happened a full year before anything happened with COVID. Yeah, exactly. And if you guys remember, there was Fauci. Sorry, I did not get enough sleep last night, so my brain is not working correctly right now. But Fauci, before COVID happened, got on TV and talked about how easy it would be, and actually how there was going to be a virus that came through and wrecked everything. I don't know if anyone can fucking find that clip if you're just Googling stuff on the side right now. But there is a clip out there where Fauci basically threatens the fucking future of a virus that's going to wreck everything. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
I'm sure they buried it like crazy.
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking. I remember seeing that clip during I think it was one of Matt's shows. I think he brought it up on Never Enough.
Oh, and then we've got this story. CDC confirms aluminum in vaccines is linked to childhood asthma and autism. Bomb, bomb, bomb. They've been fucking fighting this one tobacco science style since I was born. I mean, the number of vaccines I think that I had born in 1981 was like 6 or 8 or something like that, versus the kids today get like 30. It's absolutely ridiculous how many fucking... Like, you don't need to be protected against all those little things, dude. You really don't. And when like there's a cost benefit analysis that you can actually do based upon actual information that's been withheld from us, that's been suppressed and not allowed for the average like person to just look up. You got to be a fucking tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist to actually fucking get the real information, right? Because they won't provide it for you specifically for that reason, because they don't want you making the correct decision. They want you taking every single vaccine, because every single one of those vaccines is a couple of dollars in the pocket of a fucking fat cat who's lobbied the government to force you to do it. It's tobacco science. It's like the fucking food pyramid with the sugar industry. It's all that shit, dude. It's all a fucking lie. It's all fucking corruption. And we're just now like, I mean, some of us have been fucking on top of this ball for a really long time. But I think the general public's finally waking up to the fact that the fucking U.S. government is for sale to the highest bidder for your health and for your future and for your fucking prosperity and for your freedom. All of those things are for sale. Every single one of them.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, look what they did with the DuPont since pretty much World War II. I mean, they allowed pretty much like cancerous like carcinogens like to be dispensed upon the employees, the public buying it, and then Chevron deference happened. But yeah, they were still allowed exemption because they had government contracts. So it means the same thing with Pfizer or Big Pharma.
Right. Well, and the other thing is like these omnibus fucking spending bills where they just like, oh, well, we'll just take the numbers that we had from last year and we'll add 5% to it so everyone gets the funding that they need and blah, blah, blah. It's like they don't want them looking at everything on a line-by-line basis. They don't want to go through, because first of all, that's like a lot of fucking work for Congress to do, right? You don't want these fucking 90-year-old people to actually have to use their brain or do their fucking job or earn their fucking pay. But when it comes down to it, they need to go through the budget. That is absolutely their fucking purview. That is what they are hired to do, right? Is to look after the budget, to be fiscally minded with the budget, to go through things that don't make sense in the budget and cut them out. And the way that you can't do that, the way that you specifically don't do that, is by just fucking rubber stamping these omnibus bills that fucking fund everything plus 5% from last year. It's ridiculous.
Oh yeah, I mean, when Ron Paul first hit the scene with his Revolution campaign, that was the main reason that attracted me towards his camp. Was just audit the Fed. I mean, just completely audit everything.
Dude, I remember talking to my like I was on Facebook back then because that's just the social media that people were on back then. At least I was anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're on Facebook, it's your family and friends who are all like, they keep you in check with their fucking social norms, right? So I was like, yeah, I really like what Ron Paul has to say. Like, I listened to the debates, and he's the only one of them that makes any sense to me. And my fucking aunt, right, who's on Social Security, disability, retirement, blah, 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 government fucking money, right? And granted, like, you pay into it for a long time. You should probably be able to take some money out of it. But Ron Paul's talking about being fiscally responsible with, like what's going to happen with the future. And baby boomer fucking Aunt Betty, who only cares about herself because she's a fucking baby boomer, who never had any kids, who cares more about her dogs than anything else, whined and cried and said how he was going to ruin the fucking country and, all of these people are going to be so poor and everything's going to be so bad if fucking Ron Paul gets his way, blah, blah, blah. It's like, have we ever even tried? Have we ever even tried what Ron Paul has proposed in modern times? Like meaningfully rolling back the budget into a point of fiscal responsibility? Because it wouldn't be that hard. How much taxes do we take in every year? A fuck ton,
Mm-hmm.
The closest came when Ross Perot bucked the system in '92.
Yeah, and like mainstream media, like The Simpsons made fun of him, dude. Like the whole card game gets up in arms when you try to fucking disrupt it. That's how it
Oh
is.
yeah. I mean, look what they did with a guy who wrote an article that was published under Ron Paul's newsletter or whatever it was, and accused him of racism. And he was like kind of one of the first victims of guilty by association for the what is it, the original sin of racism, quote unquote. And I'm like, Ron Paul, really? Dr. Paul? Yeah, it's and then that's how we got Mitt Romney. So like, I mean, the Republicans at the time, the statist Republicans, the Mitt Romneys, the neocons, really like championed. They didn't want someone with fiscal responsibility. They wanted the authoritarian, they wanted the McDonnell Douglas money. They wanted the, those Lear kickbacks. They really wanted all that with the GWAT.
Yeah, I fucking I don't know, man. I feel like the Libertarian Party in general these days is like controlled opposition. It's like here's a bunch of like people who could challenge our whole scheme with their good ideas. So what we're gonna do is, you see, put a little bit of money into their movement so that we have say in it, and then we can keep putting our shitty fucking shithead person forward whenever there's an election, right?
Yep.
And then like everyone's like, oh yeah, let me look at the Libertarian. Oh, like why are they always fucking retarded? Why is the Libertarian candidate always a fucking retard?
Yeah, it's obnoxious.
Well, it's them going full retard in a lot of cases. I mean, look at Joe Jorgensen in 2020. She she actually had a decent chance at one point, and then she went full Black Lives Matter. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, lady?
Yeah. No, it was, yeah. I mean, Spike Cohen, I mean, I enjoy his tweets and everything, but like, in all honesty, though, yeah, there hasn't been like any real, I would say, like as you were saying, Honda, someone of like prestige or someone that's respectable in the Libertarian Party to like kind of come up and that normies can really grab onto, since like what Ohio was saying, which is, yeah, like someone like Ross Perot.
I would say, honestly, the closest we've come to is that Austin Peterson kid back in 2020, the one that gave that piece of shit Gary Johnson a replica of Washington's pistol, and then Gary Johnson's piece of shit ass threw that pistol in the trash. That shit is smacked right across the face for that one, by the way.
I don't know, dude. I would say people have a tendency to look to one person to fix all the That's why you vote for the president, right? Why everyone cares so much about the president, because you think that, oh, if I get the president that I want in office, that he's going to solve the problems. And to some extent, there is some truth behind it. You know what I mean? Like, the president does have power. He can get things done. If the wrong guy's there with the wrong fucking, like, list of things that he's trying to get done, as we've seen in the last couple of years, shit can go in the wrong direction and it's really bad. But what Trump proved is that one man cannot solve it all by himself, right? Like,
that's true.
He tried, I think, for his part, and whether he believed in every little thing that he campaigned on or whatever, he at least tried to follow through with most of the things that he campaigned on. So, there's that part of it. But they fought him tooth and nail every step of the way. They used the media to call him racist and bigoted and homophobic and like any pejorative that you can possibly think of to put any group of people against him. They weaponized the Department of Justice. They weaponized like his cabinet process, right? Like picking his cabinet. They wouldn't let him do it. Anytime that he would go somewhere, there'd be articles written in the media about, well, he's wasting this and Trump's cages for children and, like all of the other things that they did. Like every fucking step of the way, from every fucking direction, the attacks came. And I think in aggregate, they became effective. They became effective in weaponizing people who would have otherwise possibly been helped or even been, like a voter for Trump if they had not been like propagandized to the point where they're just anti-Trump lunatics. And there's a fuck ton of those out there now. Like they've created this whole monster of just like brainwashed idiot that won't listen to fucking reason or logic and has an alternative set of facts for the history of things that happened. And like you try to have a conversation with them, it's just like you got to break things down to the presuppositions, because all of their presuppositions are incorrect. Like, it's impossible to have a conversation with these people, because the other part of it is, like, you're breaking down their presuppositions as being incorrect. They don't believe you. They don't believe you because they're fucking so entrenched in their own point of view that it's just not even possible to happen. So I don't know, man. Like, we are, and I was talking about this to someone at work the other day about, like, how, okay, things are bad, you know, like, not making money. How bad can it get? Like, how bad can it get? And the answer is really bad. But, like, the other part of that is, like, when does that happen? And I think it's when people are working their ass off and they're falling further and further behind. And I think we're in that fucking state right now, or like on the precipice of it.
Oh no, we're already within that, in my opinion.
Well, because I mean, think about it.
I agree.
When your wheels are just spinning and you're trying as hard as you can and you're stepping on the gas and you're putting all of your energy and all of your time into making money and doing everything you can, and then at the end of the month you're like another $100 behind or something. It's like, I don't know what else to do. At some point, you just you take off the wooden shoes and you throw them in the machinery. Sabotage. You fucking stop participating. And that's also the other thing about the system that we live in, that we all fucking participate in, is that, in fact, we participate in it. We have to participate in it to some extent, right? Mm-hmm. But we also choose to participate in it. And to the extent that we choose to participate in it, we also uphold it and give it power and give it legitimacy. Like, all of the things that it has, it owes to our participation. And the moment we choose, in mass anyway, because like any one of us chooses not to do it, and it, you know, the system keeps on trucking. But if a bunch of us, if enough of us in key positions, especially like truck drivers and things like that, people who actually hold up the economy and make things happen in this country, decide, fuck this shit, we're done, then guess what? We don't have a country anymore.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, honestly, you could actually see with the epidemic rising, especially in urban centers, but like with the homeless epidemic, that is people checking out. I mean, yeah, you have, it's just like become more and more and more where it'd be closer to more people in the middle, or more rational, sane people, or people who may not have like an addiction or something like that. But you can easily see it with the homeless situation just growing and growing. It's just people checking out. There's like, you know, talking with them, you know, it's just, you see the futility.
Yeah.
Well, and let's not mistake what's happening right now, because they're talking about COVID again. They're talking about masks again, and they're talking about jabs again, going into an election season again. Read what they said last election season. This is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez quote, and this is from May 20th, 2020. It is vital that governors maintain restrictions on business until after the November election, because economic recovery will help Trump be reelected. A few businesses closures or job losses is a small price to pay to be free from his presidency. Do not forget this. Do not mistake what's happening right now for any kind of concern, for anything other than their insane fucking grasp on control and need to have it, you know? Like, that's where we're at.
The worst thing about AOC is that stupid commie cunt doesn't even understand the three branches of government. We need to have a test in place for, if you're going to run for office, you need to pass some kind of civics test, or you can't fucking run.
No shit. That didn't pass the constitutional test.
That's what I'm talking about, basically.
I know. I'm just saying. I agree. It's retarded that a lot of these people don't know really what the fuck they're doing. They just get in there to pad in their wallets.
Here's the more dangerous thing, though, is the fact that these people could know the right answers, but at the end of the day, they don't care, because they're too entrenched in their ideologue and their end goal, that they just see the Constitution as an obstruction more than they do like a limitation on what their job is.
Well, I would almost say some of the worst too are those guys that go in like New York or whatever state it is there, like major city and stuff like that, and they'll ask people basic questions. They'll obviously say wrong answers because they don't know the answer, and they'll be like, "Yeah, that's good," instead of actually correcting them and being like, no, this is what the actual right answer is. Like, make
Yeah.
people smarter, man. Seriously.
I don't think correcting those people on the street is going to help anything. Like,
It could to some extent, because at least you're like giving them the answer, and like maybe they'll remember it, for God's sakes.
I guess maybe you're right. At least for that. Maybe on occasion it would. You should try. You're probably right. Tara says both the left and right political machines, both politicians and media, are all tools meant to manipulate the masses. They are effective tools. And to that I would say, just remember this. Whenever the left and the right get together and agree on something, that's when they're really fucking you.
Mm-hmm.
Every time in my life that all the Democrats and all the Republicans are like, you know what? This is a really good idea because it really fucks everybody and helps us out. I mean, because it really should happen. It's the moral thing or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like, and we're talking about Department of Homeland Security. We're talking about the entire response to 9/11. We're talking about the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. We're talking the COVID response, everything that happened from COVID, and wear your mask and all that stuff. It's all that shit, dude. And that's all when the Republicans and Democrats got together and agreed.
Or Department of Education.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, did you see what that fucking asshole said the other day? That's the current Department of Education head.
I've seen a few things. Can you remind me?
Oh my god, let me just find it real quick.
This is something I've been really paying attention to lately because of my nieces and nephews. This is.
We got to make this happen.
No,
So that's like one of those industrial carpet dryer things that they just hooked a fucking. Like, look how much weed's in that thing, dude.
Oh my god.
That's great. They
Hot
didn't even break it
boxing.
up. They didn't even bother breaking it up. There's nugs in there and everything.
They're like they're burning charcoal.
Oh, that's great, dude. Look at that guy
Yeah, it's
smiling.
It's like being at Red Rocks in the back row.
Oh, dude, I took my kids with my ex to see Sublime at Red Rocks. And my kids don't like weed. They're not fans of weed.
Mm-hmm.
That was a mistake. We shouldn't have gone to that concert.
Yeah, you probably should have picked like kind of a country rock one, like Shane Smith or something, you know.
Parasites, thieves, pedophiles, war criminals, psychopaths. I'm Captain Government. By your powers, mine.
Yep, pretty much.
What was it? Earth, wind, fire, air, and heart. Wait, it was Earth, wind. I'm missing one. Earth, wind, fire,
water,
and heart. Thank you.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Yeah.
And then they had the reverse ones for Captain Pollution, where it was like.
I was a big
something
fan
like
of Wheeler, right in his fire wing.
Dude, I would think the fucking the Earth one, because that dude could make earthquakes happen. He can make like the Earth just open up and like dig a ditch or something. He can make an island out of the ocean.
Earth.
That's pretty dope power.
I don't know. Water's pretty awesome. Like, you know, just drown people. I mean, like, what kind of level can you control the water with the water power? Can you like control the water in someone's body? Like, could you boil someone alive with that power?
I don't know if it worked that way, but maybe.
From every time that they
Real life?
showed it, it was always having to be near a body of water to manipulate it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But I
If
mean,
you
like,
control air, well, hold on. If you control air, you could do that because all you'd have to do is change the barometric pressure till it was so low that the boiling point of water was below the temperature of your body, and your blood would literally boil.
oh yeah. See, okay, yeah. All right. I want air.
Nobody
I dropped
wanted
that
heart.
clip from the Department of Education in the back chat.
All right, you got to listen to this guy. Everybody, listen.
Mute.
I am 83 years old.
Is that really loud?
No.
I was in the McDonald's drive-thru this morning. The young lady behind me leaned on her horn and and started mouthing some ugly things because I was taking too long to place my order. So when I got to the first window, I paid for her order along with my own. The cashier must have told her what I had done, because as we moved up, she leaned out her window and waved to me as she began mouthing, thank you, probably feeling embarrassed that I had repaid her rudeness with kindness. When I got to the second window, I showed the server both receipts, and I took her food too. Now she has to go back to the end of the queue and start all over again. Don't blow your horn at old people. We've been around for a long.
There you go.
Somehow I knew it was going to end up something like that.
Yeah.
All right, this one's for you, Corey, because you don't like bugs, right? What the fuck is this thing? Creature from hell, Western Australia. It's a scorpion with fucking wings, dude.
How do we get those in LA?
Dude, that looks like that shit from Revelations, like mouth of a lion, tail of a scorpion, with the wings of a fucking locust. Thank you.
But I like the colors on it. It's got a nice royal blue on it.
I mean, it looks like it's got its like a reverse dick or something. Like it's trying to like stab its dick into something. Maybe, I don't know what it's doing.
Or it's doing like some defensive posture. Yeah.
So Pennsylvania is sending out automatic voter registration for everybody, and they're sending out ballots to everybody's houses automatically. So basically, Pennsylvania's lost.
New York is too, because Kathy Hochul admitted on TV that they're doing mail-in on demand now through the New York General Assembly.
I mean, this goes back to what you were saying, Ohio, though. Like, I mean, I think honestly, to vote, like, I'm not saying we should bring back the racist intelligence test, but what we should do is you should be able to pass, like, some sort of constitutional test just to vote. Like, honestly, it's just like having people vote with their emotions and just based off of what's the most popular thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because some celebrity told me to, check that little box. This is why we're in the hellhole we're in.
I've talked about this quite a bit on my own channel about that, having possibly two tests like that, where one is for voters, and it's like, oh, if you don't pass like this time or whatever, you just don't vote for that election cycle, and then it just, you can go again the next go around or whatever. And then it's the same test, but like a higher degree to even run for office then.
Just get rid of women's suffrage and make us show our IDs when we vote.
Yeah, I'm at the point repeal the 19th.
I mean...
I don't know if I'd say repeal it entirely, but like amend the 19th and the 26th would be a good idea, honestly.
What was the 26th?
18 and over get voting rights by default.
But that's not true about the default, because there is the subsection, like if you're a male and you haven't registered for selective service, you're not allowed to vote.
What's the age for selective service? Like, it's like 18 to what?
18 to 25, I believe.
I thought it was 36. Yeah, 36.
Okay.
So what if you're older than 36? Are you just like, you can't be fucking drafted?
Yeah, unless there's an extreme emergency. Then it can be extended to 40. At least that's with historical precedent, from my understanding.
If you're 41, you're golden?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm golden, pony boy.
I actually go back
I got a few more months, so.
If you actually go back to what the constitutional militia was, it was 16 to 60.
God damn it! Shut up.
No, that's true. No, Ohio's right. Ohio's right. I just thought it was like, was it during this with Roosevelt, like during the Spanish
Well,
American War?
16 at that time, you was a full adult.
Oh yeah.
You also usually had a
yeah.
kid by then too, as well.
You also
And
was
married.
working full time and had 3 children. Yeah.
If your kids got drafted, what would you do? Like if you had like a 18-year-old son and he got drafted, what would you do?
I guess it depends on the war.
Yeah.
Like
that's the answer.
whatever fucking war we're going into next, you know it's gonna be a fucking lie. You know it's gonna be bullshit, and you know that your kid's probably gonna fucking see some fucked up shit, be fucked up forever, come back without a leg maybe, or come back without a life maybe. That's the fucking war.
Pretty much
Mexico?
the same one. Yeah. Mm.
I mean, I'm kind of upset about this one because I've got 2 kids that are the age where this is going to be a reality for me in the very near future if shit goes wrong.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because like at least with the global war on terror, it was still a volunteer basis. You know.
I mean,
But-
definitely, like I said, definitely we trying to find some way to get out of the country. I know that for sure.
I could honestly see this being the one time where something like that, if they tried that shit, could actually spark a civil war in this country. Because soon people are gonna be like, "No, my son or daughter's not gonna go to fight your fucking dumbass war."
If we're not getting invaded, no.
Like
And that's-
I'm at the point
yeah.
where I would rather fight against whoever they send to the house to collect him than to like let him go fight against whoever they want him to fight against. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like you come to fucking get the kid, fuck off. You come back with guns, cool, I got him too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or you just
Yeah.
go to Mexico, or you go to fucking Canada, or you change your name to like Juan Valdez and move to Florida with like a bunch of other immigrants and just blend in. Or I don't know what the fuck what do you guys do? Because I'm not sending my kids. I don't care. I don't fucking care. I don't care what the fucking war is. I don't care what the fucking excuse is. I don't care what they fucking say. I don't care what they fucking do. I don't care what the consequences are for my fucking life. It doesn't matter. As far as I'm concerned, if you're trying to send them to fucking war, I'm dead. You have war with me first. Sorry. Fuck off, government. You've lost all credibility. You've lost all fucking like every like respect. Nothing, dude. You have nothing left with me. Nothing.
I would suggest going
Absolutely.
to Canada though. They might still send you.
Yeah, I mean, like that's the thing though. Where do you fucking go?
Right.
Oh,
They're
you could be
saluting
like with the
Nazis
Amish
right
too.
now. They're happy to have Nazis in their presence right now. So definitely not Canada.
Yeah. I mean, I would just do like, encourage the, like, I don't know, like if it was say my nephews who are close to that age, they're like, in their teens, be like, hey, just say you're Amish or Mennonite, because they're not allowed to be drafted. That's, I don't know. It's just,
I'm just saying, dude, it's not a like this isn't going to be a joking matter here in the near future. This isn't going to be something to like fucking laugh about. This is going to be something that's very fucking serious, I feel like, because we are at the point where we're just like taking in everyone that we can from other countries to fill our military fucking positions. And like the dudes joining up from our country and the dudes joining up from other countries are still not enough for the amount of people that they need to replace the people that are leaving because of all this gender bullshit ideology that they've got going on. And that's without us actually being in an active war. I mean, who are we at war with right now? Who are we at war with?
And not just in the military too. Remember, also civilian law enforcement.
Well, those guys are a bunch of fucking faggots too. If you wear a badge and you have a blue suit on and you're in a gang, fuck the fuck off with a fucking hard fuck you from E Honda. Like seriously.
Well, now you have a badge and a gun and you're not even a citizen.
That's true. And they don't care about our Constitution and they don't care about your rights and they don't even know about them. You know what I mean? Like that's a great point.
Yeah.
I mean, how many videos have we seen of where the police are in someone's front yard Googling their own local laws that they're trying to bust somebody on? Like we've seen their body cam footage, and like where the guy in Florida who they disarmed him, they took his gun, and then they try to say he was abusing his kids when he was because he was yelling at the neighbor's dog, came over and chased his daughter up
Dude,
the
I just
stairs.
watched.
Yeah, like stuff.
They pulled some 18-year-old kid out of his car because he had a headlight out. Said that his eyes were glazed over. Said that he was drunk. Like arrested him through. Like never even tested him. Like made all this shit up. Made up all the evidence. You know, like they're fucking. They will follow whatever order that they are given. If the order is kick this guy out of his house into the street, they're going to come and kick you out of your house into the street. If they say take this guy's kids away, they're going to come and take your kids away. It doesn't matter because they don't care. They don't care. What they care about is getting their pension, making sure that their family is set and that they don't have to financially worry in the future. And as long as they follow their marching orders and do what they're told, then they'll be fine. So they don't care if they fucking step on your fucking dick. They don't care if they fuck your life up forever. They don't care if they take your kids away forever. They don't care if they kill you because you twitched, you know, at the wrong fucking time.
Yep. I mean, honestly, ever since like, because it happened locally, you know, where a Good Samaritan was shot by a coward cop hiding in a building right behind him and not even stopping an active shooter. Like that to me just proved the point. And then on top of that, with COVID kind of separating the from the chaff, all we have left, and I honestly feel for the most part in the law enforcement is chaff. All the constitutional followers left.
People like Mark Malone out there is saying, luckily I have no skin in this game. I just sit back and watch Darwinism take place, right? Meaning, I'm assuming, I don't have kids, so I don't have to worry about all this stuff and blah, 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 right? Right? That's what you mean by that, Mark Malone, right? But what you're really saying is Darwin already got me because I'm a dumb bitch.
Yep.
I didn't have any kids. Darwinism doesn't even apply to me because Darwin already got me, bro.
Right.
I'm a Galapagos turtle right now. I'm a dodo
dead
bird.
Branch. Yep. That's a dead branch. Yeah, no, in all honesty, it's just like that's the thing about when people say I got mine. It's like that FUD mentality. Oh, I got mine. I don't care what happens. I got mine. And that self-serving ideology honestly doesn't last very long because at the end of the day, it'll deplete. That resource will deplete no matter what it is, whether it be your rights or your dependency on like a system being just and fair, or even your ability to access the means to defend yourself, whatever it may be.
I don't know. Maybe you lucky you haven't been pulled over by a cop that is on a bad day right now, Mark.
I think it's a good thing he didn't reproduce.
No, I have been pulled over by a cop who's having a bad day, and that's not my fucking problem. You know, if you're having such a bad day that when the next person you deal with that you pulled over, you're gonna fucking like get physical and be a dick and yell at them and get in their face and scream and do all the fucking crazy things, maybe you should have gone home. You know, maybe that thing that happened in the morning that puts you in the bad mood or whatever it was too much for your psyche to handle. And I'm not saying you're soft or whatever, but yeah, you see some live shit, it might be too much for anyone to handle. You know what I mean? Like, go the fuck home. You shouldn't be on the street anymore, pulling people over and screaming at their face for whatever, for speeding or something, you know?
Yeah, or going power tripping and escalating situations that could have been totally nominally talked out, or enforcing bullshit laws and regulations and rules that nobody even voted for.
Malone says, I will have kids soon. What are the odds he went to a sperm bank?
I mean, you could always adopt and stuff.
Yeah, that doesn't count.
I mean, when he says
not
he's
for
gonna have
Darwin,
kids
bro. If we're talking about Darwin, adopting is
Oh yeah.
We're talking purely biological, not sociological. Yeah. Not to diminish sociological children, by the way, but it's just that's the reality, though. It's not your bite.
Well, no, I was gonna say, going back to what you were saying, Saber Wolf, about the whole "I got mine to fuck everybody else" thing. That's why I hate the NFA so much. Is these people that will sit there and pay the tax stamps and stuff like that. We could have had that shit gone away with at least 50 years ago if nobody paid the fucking tax stamps. And somebody just took the hit, honestly. But no, you have all these people like, and I'm going to call them out who they are at this point. It's the military arms channel and people like that that are like, well, I got like 20 tax stamps for like 20 fucking SBRs or whatever there. And it's like, congratulations, you're part of the fucking problem, dude.
Grantham, like pretty much all the big gun tubers, except for the ones who are like FFLs who actually do build or sell guns. Like, I'll give Brandon Herrera a pass because he owns a gun shop, because that, you know, right? But like anybody who's like literally just a military collector, in range TV, fuck those guys, fuck them hard. But yeah, it's just, honestly, I know everyone loves Gun Jesus, but I think he's also, as much as he's campaigned against the NFA, he's still part of the problem, though, too.
I don't know. I think the ones
someone who's...
problems are the Matt Carrickers of the world, like the dudes who have made a living, have grown their social media to the point where they have literally mansions, resorts, like whatever car, whatever vehicle, whatever gun that they could possibly ever want. And I've never heard them say a fucking word about a gun rally or like speaking out against the government and their fucking overreach or the Second Amendment itself. You know, like they might in passing kind of say something about it, but then they're like, oh, watch me blow up this pumpkin. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that is an issue with Demo Ranch too, because it's like,
their money.
Well, exactly, but also it's a situation where even at a state level, you have states here, like just Ohio here, we have anti-gun bills going through our General Assembly every single fucking day, and it's people like me on the forefront fighting against this shit and making sure that we don't get red flag laws here or universal background checks here. Hell, we had a thing the other day where they were trying to pass pro-choice legislation to get rid of taxation on guns and ammo, and you have one of these fucking cunt-ass Democrats who's been in there since the damn 90s, and they came back around again a little bit ago is what it was here in the last couple of years. This motherfucker was trying to slip in universal background check amendments into this Pro-2A legislation. And I'm just like, fuck you, Daniel Troy, you son of a bitch.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just like looking at like on the local level, and that's where they're really getting, I think, going back to where the civics lesson is, like when you were talking about people only vote for the president, no one really gives a shit about who their city councilman is, yet their city council, as we've seen here in Colorado, as you're well aware of, they'll pass huge anti-2A like regulations and stuff like that for the municipalities or counties, and like, you know, Superior, Boulder, etc., and they're barely challenged by the by local opposition.
Well, dude, we are about to have what is it, a 3-day waiting period for guns now?
Yeah,
October 1st. Yeah.
Yeah. So on October 1st, which is not very far away.
It's a week from now.
Want to buy a gun? Cool. You pass the background check. Cool. Come back on Wednesday.
Yeah. It's
one of us.
Here's the worst part about this whole thing.
Like, for me personally, does it affect me a little bit, right? Like, it's a bit of a pain in the ass. But like, what if you are buying a gun, you don't have one, this is your first gun, and you need it for protection, and then they make you fucking wait 3 days and you get killed?
I mean, like the lady in New Jersey.
Oh, that's a bullshit argument, because it never fucking happens.
Oh,
that shit happens all the fucking time, because there's tons of people who were like, I never thought about a gun until I got scared because my ex-boyfriend said some shit, and then I bought one and he showed up and he left because I had a gun. Well, if you didn't have the gun, he wouldn't have left. You know, you didn't necessarily have to shoot him in the face either. And that's the other thing. That's the other part of the argument that all of these anti-gunners don't get. It's like, just because you have a gun doesn't mean you want to kill somebody with it. Like, they think, and I think it's projecting, right?
Yeah,
they're just projecting what they think and what they would do under the situation that they had the power to have the gun. And they know that if they had a gun, that they would probably end up losing their temper and grabbing the gun and shooting somebody. So that's why people shouldn't have guns, because if I had a gun, I would shoot somebody with it if I got pissed off. And it's like, well, yeah, that's because you're a fucking crazy leftist liberal that has no self-control, and I'm not you. So that doesn't apply to me. Good luck.
I actually had this exact conversation with one of my sister's friends one time, and this guy was a hardcore leftist. And he specifically told me to my face, he's like, I don't trust myself with a firearm, and I don't trust other people either. And I'm like, dude, I'm literally carrying right now. You know that, right? He's like, oh, really? I was like, yeah.
I heard people tell me that too. They don't even trust themselves with a fire gun, with a firearm. I'm like, cool. You shouldn't get one. If you
Well,
can't
that's what
even
it is with
trust
some of these moms
yourself,
demand types. And then there was a couple of them here in the last couple of years. Actually, there were stories coming out of at least one or two of them that have now killed their own kids and themselves.
Oh yeah. No, and the thing is though that's really obnoxious about it is that when they say these things, these projections, it's like, and look at the world that they foster with their ideology, which is basically, honestly, at the end of the day, it's just a giant cope for their worst behaviors and impulses and lack of control. So when we have like a whole basically ideological system and people who subscribe to this ideology, of course they're going to be well. We don't. Of course they're going to like their natural reaction if you follow the logic is like we don't need guns is because they have like basically their ideology is ultimately do whatever you want, like literally no holds barred, no repercussions, not even judgment against it. So I mean at the end of the day, it kind of makes sense for their hedonism because to them they're like, well, I don't like this guy cutting me off in traffic. I'll blow his brains out. Like that's
and
the
now
type
the
of
White House want to create a new gun czar. Huh?
Yeah, I mean, they've
cackling
already created the
Kamala.
office.
Yeah.
And that goes back to what Honda was saying though about the executive does actually contain power. You know, even though we should pay far more attention to the micro to macro, the macro can like pretty much if we elected a president, let's just say Honda ran for president, like he could actually just go and say no more pretty much Department of Justice, no more the executive office can't because those were created by executive fiat. You could get rid of the FBI, the DOJ, all of that. I think that's why this whole anti-Trump thing is actually really scaring the powers that be.
Right,
And doing
because they're
everything in their power.
jobs. They're afraid for their future in government, and they're afraid that their crimes will be exposed. Who's behind Jeffrey Epstein? Why do you think all of these people are in lockstep? And there's not argument over things that there should be argument about. How much blackmail evidence do you think the CIA has on members of Congress and judges and mayors and governors? You know what I mean?
Oh,
and
yeah.
people in media too, for that matter, right? Heads of business. Why do they all go to this island with Epstein and other things? It's not just Epstein, but like that's the one we all know about. So let's go with that. Why do we not know, as the public, the list of people that have been to the island? Why do we not know? Like, why have we not seen the tapes? Like, that's the blackmail, right? You guys have the tapes, because without the tapes, there's no blackmail. So if you're so afraid of the blackmail, where's the tapes, right? Oh, there's no tape. We don't get to see that. We don't get to see that. Because if we saw it, the entire system would be disrupted. The entire system would be disrupted to the point where they make the argument that we can't see it for reasons of national security, because if people saw the truth, if they actually knew what was going on, if they actually saw what their leaders were up to, we wouldn't have a government, at least not a cohesive one, you know?
Well, right now, to defend the government for a second, obviously they focus on the real important issue, and that is January 6th. Once we get that out the way, then we could start with the lesser issues. Because as you know, it is worse than 9/11, so we have to focus on January 6th first, and then get to the Epstein Island.
Right.
Oh, don't forget about indicting a person who hasn't been president for almost 3 years. Yeah, we got to keep going after him. Not the current power broker, the power player in play. With the laptop.
Because
and
Russia
everything.
was involved. It's Russia,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just at this point, anybody who does believe all this shit is just literally they just have their voting rights and their driver's license revoked because I don't even trust them behind a wheel.
Did you see Trudeau's unhinged take on Ukraine?
No.
Like, he got in front of everybody and he was basically saying like, hey, I know we put billions of dollars into the Ukraine war against Russia, but we got to be ready to put billions more, as much as we need to, as much as they need to win the war against Russia. That's how much we are going to put into this war. And everyone's just like, I can't feed my kids, bro.
Yeah. I
actually heard a good one earlier where they were talking about the border wall funding being like $10 billion. But yeah, we spent $25 billion in non-military aid for Ukraine at this point to pay the salaries of firefighters and shit over there. And I'm like,
I
are
heard
you
something
fucking
about they
kidding
giving
me?
siege to farmers in Ukraine or something like that now.
Yeah, it is funny how the Democrats become all fiscally responsible when it comes to the border wall. Like all of a sudden they don't want to spend money.
Right.
Oh, they know that they wouldn't have a replacement population with their current ideology unless they had a flood of third world, easily mutilated workers.
Well, don't forget that the money that they spend, right? Like the government decides they want to send $10 billion to Ukraine. Where do they get that $10 billion? Do they wait for the tax money to roll in? No, they just print it. They don't care. They don't care about your tax money. The tax money, the only reason that counts is for like when the loan comes due. Like, hey, look how much revenue we have as a company, basically.
Mm-hmm.
It's sick how it works.
Yeah, it's credit based off of pretty much future taxes. I mean, at this point, we're talking generations, not just the next generation of taxes. We're talking several generations. And with their current ideology of like birth declines, I don't know how they're going to collect that unless they overtax the future generations. That's in decline. Population bust, pretty much.
Mark Malone's all upset because people are calling him out that he doesn't look like fucking Brad Pitt or whatever. I do too look like Brad Pitt. You guys are genetic pieces of trash.
It's fine, dude. I'm
Mark
ginger,
Malone is
so...
a fine specimen.
Oh, dude. No, it's...
Get some better presidential candidates, America. The problem is, I think, except for Trump, like Trump, they let in because they're like, there's no way he's got a chance to win. It's basically a joke. We're a shoe-in. I'm Hillary Clinton. I'm the next president, blah, blah, blah. Oh, shit, I lost? Oh, well, we got to fucking make sure this shit never happens again. Clamp down on social media. Clamp down on influencers, right? Like, get all these people kicked off the internet so that they can't talk about things again. Go after Alex Jones. He helped out a lot. How much does he owe now? How much does Alex Jones owe the Sandy Hook victims, including an FBI agent who didn't even have a kid die?
Well, like $1 billion, wasn't it? Something
Yeah,
like that?
over $1 billion.
Over $1 billion?
Yeah, it's
Over
a
$1 billion.
Excessive.
Ridiculous. It was the biggest settlement in history in the history of the United States. There's never been a settlement in court for more money. Period. Not against Big Pharma, not against some corporation, not against an oil company. Nothing. No one even comes close except for the Sandy Hook kids' parents, victims who never even got named. And like, oh, dude, did you guys watch that sham of a fucking trial?
I saw
Yeah, on Record of Law. Yeah, I watched it.
I mean, basically the way it worked was he was predetermined by the judge to be guilty, which I don't know how you can do that in America, but you're already guilty. This is a hearing to decide how guilty you are. So it's not about whether or not you have to pay money. It's how much money do you have to pay? That's what the whole court case was. It was never allowed to be determined by anybody whether or not he was actually guilty of fucking anything. Defamation is what they were charging. It wasn't even a crime, right? But yeah, dude, over $1 billion. And if he goes to the grave and never pays a Sandy Hook victim a fucking red penny, congratulations, and I'm okay with that.
Well, thankfully, he hasn't paid a dime yet, so.
Yeah, I just read this article the other day about how he spent like $40,000 on a vacation. I'm like, booyah, go!
Right.
They're all
I want to say, and also like what they did to Steven Crowder during that election time. Right, it was a ban after ban, suspension after suspension, just going live and saying hi, ban.
I mean, I've been effectively kicked off of YouTube twice now because of strikes. And everything that I've ever got a strike for except for showing a car accident because you're not allowed to do that. You can now do again. So I've really only had one legitimate strike on YouTube. Do you guys have a gun opinion that would get you this reaction?
Oh, flogged by the community.
Uh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
Okay. All right. I'll go first. 380 is a viable round for self-defense.
I think that's
I mean, man,
not untrue.
that's the gun I carry most of the time. The caliber gun I carry most of the time.
I said semi-autos are better than revolvers.
Okay,
I
You
actually
get the
generally
fudge
agree
man
with
now.
that.
Okay.
But there's certain people who would flog me for saying
Yeah, because I was thinking of the guys at the gun store I go to. Yeah, because my friend, she was looking to get a pistol and she tried out my 9mm and felt it was a Glock 19 full weight and everything. It was still a bit too snappy for her because she was just really thin wristed, So then she tried the Bursa 380 at the range to let her just try out different ones. She really liked that. So we went to and then the guy's like, well, that's not strong enough.
Well, how is Bursa as a company now, as far as quality?
I don't know. It was a one individual one we rented at the range because I don't have a Bursa 380. But it worked. I mean, it felt like a CZ75, just smaller and low recoil. But yeah, these are the same people that will say that 5.7x28 is, that's a totally reliable self-defense round. But yet they say they'll crap on 380. That's the part that's like the disconnect I don't really, I don't know. So
if you had to choose
Left.
crazy
Left.
hot
left.
crazy hot chick from the fucking flight who gets kicked off, you guys are going left?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Hey, are you going right?
No, I'm gonna go with the left because that influencer can go fuck herself.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was kind of a bitch. I guess I gotta go left too. All right, left wins.
I mean, she's like also not only, she could tell you like who's real and who's not, she could sniff out the glowy.
All right.
To save your ass.
Cops are there to serve and protect, right? That's what cops are there to do.
Yeah, supposedly. Yeah, okay.
All right, watch this cop serve and protect. Old woman, she's having troubles getting up the stairs.
What the? Seriously?
Yep, that cop he should lose his job for that, I think.
Oh yeah. Like, you're a first responder technically as a police officer, even if it's like a medical emergency. And how was he to know that she was not having a medical emergency?
Right.
Like
he didn't even stop to look.
Yeah.
Was it even a male cop? That was a chick.
No, that was a
I
dude.
think it was a male cop. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm
I
sorry.
don't know. Damn.
There
that
was
hairstyle kind of makes it look like a
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that
like
a
a
man bun or
masculine
Okay, fine.
woman.
I don't care if you're like one day from retirement and you have osteoporosis. You're not crawling up the stairs like this woman is. You can help her out.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's just human. That's just being a good. Yeah.
It was all the text that was in my way that I couldn't tell at first there.
Yeah.
Fortnite streamer has been arrested for allegations that he raped 2 children ages 10 and 14. And my point here was you can always tell by looking at them.
Mm-hmm.
Shocking. Oh, it's so
Wait.
shocking just by those pictures. Look so normal.
What gives it away? Actually,
I don't
It's
know.
the glasses. It's the glasses. Don't trust anyone
it?
wearing glasses.
It's like when that
Well,
was
fuck
talking
you.
about pornography, and he's like, "What's the definition of pornography?" He's like, "I don't know. I can't give you a definition of pornography, but I know it when I see it."
Yep. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is it.
Yeah. Pretty much anybody that has a septum piercing in the Western world. Yep. That's just. I'm immediately suspect of them.
Or a
Especially
side
with the
shaven
man.
head.
That's all the stories I
Ooh.
had anyway.
I've kind of been out of the loop a little while, but is there any progress on the impeachment of the New Mexico governor that you guys know about, or?
I know that they filed articles against her,
Yeah,
and that
that's all
was
I know.
sometime last week. And I haven't heard anything since then about it.
At the glacial speed of justice, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Pretty much.
That's the part that, like, honestly, like, through this whole thing with, like, the brace band thing going, like, kind of one of my favorite personal topics is just, like, following how slow this process is, and then, like,
I'll be back. Give me a minute.
Right.
but, like, most recent news about, like, California's, you know, magazine ban limit has been lifted, at least, and now that they're filing appeal and taking it to full on Ninth Circuit, and they're taking it as a win, but how long has been this magazine ban been in place? Like, I mean, how long has this infringement gone on? It's like been like what, 15 years, not including the federal assault weapons ban. So, at what point though is this like, you know, this constantly procrastination in the court system? I mean, it's just they're getting what they want. It's just they're going through all the circus display of.
And when our politicians going to get punishment, if a law you put in place has been ruled unconstitutional, there should be some kind of penalty for that.
Oh no, they should be fiscally responsible. In other words, like pretty much all the money that they've gained since they entered politics should be forfeit to the people who've been victimized by their unconstitutional laws. That's honestly like the only way to like get that to happen is to hit them in the wallet. That's why term limits, which every time there's a constitutional convention, you know, no matter what it is, it's like every 3 years that pops up. Let's assemble constitutional convention. There's other people saying no.
No, not even hit the wallet. Not even being arrested. Hit them in the wallet when they already have money. It might hurt a little bit, but it's not like all those people who don't have money and they've been arrested and they've been fighting those cases. Right?
Mm-hmm.
These politicians need to be put in jail.
Oh, well, it's not just
like,
them. It's also
I was at a parent-teacher conference with my kids and my ex, right? And we walk in the front door, and there's this guy who checks us in, and he looks like a pedophile. He looks like a fucking pedophile. And after he checked us in, and we got out of earshot of this gentleman, I made a joke about it. I don't remember what I said, but I made a joke about it, and my ex was like, bleh, and the kids were like, bleh, right? And everyone was mad at me. Everybody's always fucking mad at me for saying things that occur to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, fast forward a couple months later, guess who's in the newspaper for being a pedophile?
Oh no.
Yeah, the very same dude who I called, and both the kids were like, "Oh, Dad, you called it!" Like,
but has the baby mama ever gave you any acknowledgement about it yet?
oh hell no, dude. She wouldn't give me.
Course.
She wouldn't give me water if I was fucking in the desert.
Of course.
Yeah.
She wouldn't pee on him if he was on fire. Yeah.
Saying that a man is right.
Halle Berry shit, where she like took a drink of the water and spit it back in the bottle first. That's what she'd do.
Well, for me, I call that a win. So,
do you see this? The monthly mortgage payment using median existing home price with a 20% down payment and the average 30-year mortgage rate. And we're going back to here. Let me get rid of this. I mean, 2012, it was 577 was the median. So that was like the, you know, majority of houses. That was about the price that people were having to pay for their mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's $2,300.
Yeah. Yeah, this has left me kind of in despair personally lately. Just trying to find my own housing and trying to figure that out.
Yeah,
you know,
dude, we're all gonna live in the pods because we're all gonna be priced out of having an actual place. The price of rent, the price of actually owning a house is gonna go so insane and crazy. And oh, don't worry, if you guys own a house, if you already have your mortgage, they'll get you too, because they're gonna say, oh, well, the value of your house has gone up so high that you have to pay X amount for your property tax. And a lot of people aren't going to be able to pay that either. So it's going to be like 6 of one or half a dozen of the other. We're all going to be in the house, dude. It's by design. This is absolutely by design. They know what they're doing. they're going to make things so expensive for all of us that we have to fucking capitulate. Like they were talking about it. Like it was Klaus Schwab in the World Economic Forum they were talking about how you get people in America to capitulate to these like carbon taxes and like new standard of living and all this other stuff. It's like, well, you got to make them hurt first. You got to make them feel a bunch of pain. And once people feel the pain, they'll go along with it because we don't want to feel the pain anymore. And Mark Malone, yeah, you did try to tell us, right? But how many people have their shit together at the drop of a hat to just buy a house, to have 20% down payment to buy a house in the middle of a pandemic when none of us were working?
I mean, I lost my well-established job in the middle of the pandemic because it wasn't even pandemic related. It was the fact that they decided, well, because we were supporting the fracking industry, they'll shut down fracking in our state, and that includes all the businesses that supported the oil industry. So I immediately lost my job. And then and then there's all the other industries that'd be applicable for. Everyone who lost their job in these companies were fleeing to all the jobs that they could, so there was no openings. So I mean, like, what are you supposed to do in that type of scenario? Just move like grapes of wrath it, just get in a car and keep going till the dust bowl's over. I mean, there's no. This is the way it's designed. What Honda's saying, there's no relief until they win. They get us in pods. Like my parents, in their house.
The only people that are being represented by the government are the corporations and the banks, right?
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to you and I, and like what our needs are and what our wants are and what is good for our families, that's secondary, tertiary, if at all. Like the main considerations are what keeps the bank's lights on. The main consideration is, company X gave me a bunch of money for re-election, so when this bill passes, I have to include, provision Y for that company. Like nothing to do with us, right? In fact, we're the ones who have to pay for that. In essence, I mean, either through taxation or through inflation, which is the hidden tax. And we've been hit with like crazy inflation lately, dude. Crazy inflation. And it's only getting worse. And it's only going to get worse, especially when they're looking at like the price of food and how much it costs to go to the fucking grocery store and stuff. We haven't even been hit by what's happening with the shutdowns and farms and like fucking cattle ranches and like the reduction of capacity and production of different facilities and how many places burnt down last year. Like, remember that shit? How many places that were like food production facilities of one variety or another?
Yeah, it's like several hundred at this point.
It was like hundreds.
Yeah.
Like, I've never seen anything like that. And again, you see one thing happening, okay. You see two things happening that are the same. Okay. If you start seeing 3, 4, 5 things happening that are the same, that's a fucking program. That's someone doing something intentionally. That shit doesn't just happen. Like the odds of that happening are so astronomically low that you can just dismiss it as even being a possibility, basically.
Well, I mean, the only time something like this has happened with, like, for example, government limiting, for example, agriculture, transit, and disrupting all these things. The only other time it's ever happened in American history was during the 1860s, and that was under General Grant doing it to the South. Taking away their salt so they couldn't preserve food, so they wouldn't have food during the winter, disrupting their railway systems, so they couldn't move munitions and troops and supplies. So, I mean, that's the only other time in American history this has happened, but it is happening. It's just we're not declaring quote unquote war on. So it's not a declared war, but in essence, it is. It's the same tactics they're using.
Well, I mean, it basically is when you look at, okay, if I ideologically identify on the left and burn a city down, I get basically a slap on the wrist, if I even get arrested. And if I do, Kamala Harris and other people are raising money and donating to lawyers, and lawyers are jumping out of their seats trying to represent me in court, and judges are very lenient in court and ready to just let me go at the drop of a hat, or any kind of like procedural thing that's not done correctly, like gavel free, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But if you're on the right and you push a fence during a I don't even know if you'd call it a riot, right? But they call it insurrection. But if you shake a fence during an insurrection, how many years did Joe Biggs get? 18?
Like 17, 18, yeah. Enrico Torrio wasn't even there, got 22.
Right. And they call this justice, and they call this, like, this is what justice is. It's like bull fucking shit. If you're Hunter Biden and you take money from foreign companies and ditch fucking guns and trash cans and do all this other stuff and get caught for it, right? Well, then they cover up for you, and they cover up so that people don't know what you did, certainly, especially before an election. Heaven forbid that they know what the president's son was up to before an election and make an informed decision about, how that might affect the country, right? No, we can't let people do that. No, dude. I mean, it's very obvious if you're paying attention.
Oh,
which
yeah.
makes people who are like sitting passive on the sideline are either, I don't know, like they're not paying attention. They're just blissfully going along with life as if everything's fine and not really paying attention to anything, right? That could be a possibility. Or they see what's going on and it scares them and they don't want to have anything to do with it, so they don't get involved. Or they see what's going on and they like it and they want more of it, and it's a sadistic thing. So it's got to be one of those, right? Like, is there another possibility? I don't think so. Maybe. Shit's crazy, bro.
Yeah, I think there is also some people who do some self-deceptions, like, because they have hammered into an ideology and just carried with the ideology as part of that crowd. They're on the left because, say, they're like their parents were in the unions back in the 60s or whatever. And so they've been, they're a very Democrat family, but it's like, they just subscribe to this like kind of socialist ideology and just carried it through and just keeps going. Even if they don't personally agree with it, they will still deceive themselves in perpetuating it. That's
all right. Let's hear what Joe Biden has to say about gun violence prevention.
Will drive and coordinate a government and a nationwide effort to reduce gun violence in America, and
how
will be overseen by an incredible vice president who understands this program and vice president. Oh, really? She's been on the front lines of this her entire career as a prosecutor, as an attorney general.
Oh, you mean as a prosecutor, where she would literally keep people in prison for longer to like work for free, putting out fires for California? As a senator who got her job by sucking dick under the fucking Willie Brown?
Yep.
The office will have 4 primary responsibilities. First, to expedite the implementation of the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act and executive actions already announced.
What is that? What does that mean? Safer Communities Act? Does anyone know what this is?
That was the bullshit that they passed after Uvalde, which we can prove is an inside job. People did not realize until this year that they also fucked over a bunch of schools that had hunting and archery classes in them. They had the federal funding cut because of that.
And doesn't it also go to fund states to enact their own red flag laws, since they can't get national one passed?
It literally pays off states to put red flag laws into place. Not to mention universal background checks and other anti-gun garbage.
Yeah, and then this goes back to what Honda said about bipartisan at the top of the podcast, which when it says bipartisan, then you really should be scared.
Well, the thing was, when you look at who was actually passing that shit out of the U.S. Senate, it was all these fucking rhinos that were out of office at the end of the year. They should have never had the ability to even sign off on that shit at all.
Right? I mean, when you say bipartisan, a lot of the time it's like, oh, we got a couple of Republicans to sign this. It's not really bipartisan. It's bipartisan because you needed a couple of them to sign off on it to even pass it,
Yeah,
doesn't mean like
types.
Does not mean the majority of Republicans or even, independents or whatever are down with it, but whatever. Need to boost the volume of my clips. Okay, hold on.
And I mean it. We're going to fully implement it. Second, coordinate more support for survivors, families, and communities affected by gun violence, including mental health care, financial assistance, the same way FEMA responds to natural disasters. Same way.
So they're going to use disasters like like, oh, we have an emergency, because here's what's happening, right? The government has realized that they have limitations on their power unless there's an emergency, right? And if there's an emergency, then they can, for a temporary period of time, do whatever they can, have to do because it's an emergency, and it might not be. Why is Honda's, dude? God damn it! Fucking volume things. Is that better?
Yeah.
All right, whatever. Anyway, the government's going to create emergencies, is what I was going to say, in order to get whatever powers that they want, because they've learned that the emergencies get them the ability to do that. So as long as having an emergent, like, what part of the Constitution says, hey, here's the First Amendment, which applies to all people in this country, except for when there's an emergency. Then you could just set that aside. Here's the Second Amendment that shall not be infringed, except for in emergencies. You can infringe the fuck out of it then because there's an emergency, right? Wrong. That's not what it says. That's not what it means. And people have always fucking gone along with this shit because they're scared little sheep that fucking, they're afraid to stand up for themselves. And to some extent, with the federal government that we have and what we're dealing with today, and this technocracy that we are dealing with right now, standing up is kind of scary. But guess what? It's only going to get worse. And if you don't stand up now, you're not going to be able to do it later. Like, that's where we're at, dude. You got to stand up. You got to put your foot down and say, this far, no farther. I will not go along with your bullshit. I will not go along with this. I will not go along with that. I will not believe you. You can say whatever you want. You can come here and put me in prison. I will go on a hunger strike. I don't care what you fucking do to me. I will not go along with your bullshit. I won't. I'm just saying no. You can do whatever you want. To me, I'm saying no.
I mean, like, this kind of parlays into the First Amendment thing. I mean, look what happened with Matt from CRS Firearms with the auto keycard thing, right? Like, they're trying to chalk up a drawing as a gun part, even though the evidence is obviously spurious. But they still the man's still in jail and sentenced for federal gun crimes. I mean, what they're doing is these intimidation tactics, They're like taking.
They're doing it very publicly and in people's faces because they know that the majority of people are going to see that and they're going to back down. But I'm saying no, double down. I'm not saying go like sell key cards or whatever. Like, that's probably a poor example when it comes to this. But when it comes to, hey, let's do a gun rally. Let's get together and put some signs in front of people's eyeballs and be heard. Let's do a little political theater. Let's do our thing and not worry about the potential reality that we're going to be persecuted for doing so. That, like, there might be an agent provocateur in the group that's going to make things go too far. That the federal government's going to charge you with crimes that you didn't commit because you're ideologically adverse to what they want to do. If you worry about those things, then I guess, like, shut the fuck up and get in line and get off my fucking chat. You're not on the right chat. This is not for you. This message is not for you. This is meant for other people. It's meant for a group of people who are special, who see injustice happening around them and say, fuck that shit, I'm not going to stand for it. Not for the person who says, oh, well, I could get hurt. Let me just capitulate to whatever you say. Because if that's what you want to fucking do, get away from me. I don't want you in my camp. I don't want you anywhere near me. I don't want to have anything to do with you. Please, leave.
No, I actually really agree with that, with the sentiment, especially what you're saying, because, like, there's been this thing, especially, I would say, in, like, kind of, there's this, like, this element of quasi-freedom-minded people in the, I guess you say, in the more freedom movement, and especially on the corporate side of it. Like, you'll have companies that will sell you, say they make dust covers that say shall not be infringed and all these stuff, these rallying things, and then at the same time will not ship to Illinois, Washington, California, that exact part. So it's just like, oh, I guess you're not really believing by what you're doing. So that's, like, kind of the thing I think as a community as a whole really does, including we need to hold the corporate community part of our community accountable as well for that. Basically what you're doing is we need to call them for the pussies that they are.
Sorry, I'm muted. Is it too late? Is the country fucking done? Or are we, is it past the point of no return? You're like, okay, when Apollo 13, they're headed to the moon, right? Basically, the way that you do that is you shoot up into orbit of the Earth and you slingshot around the Earth. You probably go, I think it's twice around the Earth, and then you shoot off towards the moon. And there's a point at which you are committed to go around the moon, where it's the point of no return. Once you shoot off of the planet's gravity and you're headed towards the moon, it would take more fuel than you have on board the ship to do an about face and come back to the planet. You have to, at that point, regardless of what's happening, go all the way around the moon, slingshot around the moon, and come all the way back, right? Are we at that point? Are we past that point where we're just going to have to go through this crazy conflagration of the breakdown of society and the end of the dollar and, like, the end of everything that made America America, until, like, maybe our children's children will come back to a country someday that has some semblance of freedom, or maybe just end up in communism? I don't know. Like, is that where we're at right now? Is it too late?
We're to a point right now where you're still on the launching pad and you're about to launch and the whole fucking thing blows up.
No, I like use the Apollo 13 analogy, right? Because like the accident happened well before they left, but wasn't known about and didn't get triggered until they were at the point of no return, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if it had happened,
you're stuck in outer space.
Sooner, if like that accident had happened sooner, then perhaps they could have stayed in orbit of the Earth and then just returned and not got all, it wouldn't have been as big of a deal.
Mm-hmm.
But since it happened when it did, they had to go all the way around the moon and come all the way back and conserve energy the whole time. And they leaked enough oxygen out, so like they weren't going to make it, so they had to figure that out. Like all the things that they had to do to make it back.
So I mean, like, to make us distinct, what you're saying is, are we at the shit or get off the pot moment? And honestly, I think in the next, including what's the last couple of years before, but I think we are actually in the midst of it, and we're not even probably really aware of it. I think for the most part, I think sides are being drawn, the sabers are past being rattled. I think they're starting to be pulled. To use your Apollo 13 analogy, I think we are past that point. I think we are at that point where they're stirring the tank when the explosion happens. I think that's where we're at. We're in the middle of the tank stir.
Right. So we're stirring the tank right now, right? And the explosion's happening, and like the alarms are sounding off, and the buttons are happening, and we're Houston. We have a problem, but we don't know what it is yet. We don't know what it means, and I don't think we're gonna make it, dude. I don't think we've got like a team of intelligent people who are looking out for our well-being, trying to get our spaceship back to orbit.
I think, you know what? I agree, and I think the real reason why is because there's no, like, usually people of more of our, I guess, say, philosophical leaning or freedom-mindedness are very self-sufficient, so they're not very adept at being unified towards, basically putting themselves in order and structure and then unifying, much like the left, which is a very collectivist philosophy, that's one thing they can do. They're a fucking hive mind. So learning to cooperate by still maintaining that individuality and ideology, that's, I think, what we really have to double down and focus on.
Gerald Cagney says, you think it would be life in prison if someone kicked Biden in the balls? They would probably make it that, right? They would probably like I don't know, start weaving their webs until you kicking him in the balls was an attempted fucking assassination, or something.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be sexual assault, and you'll be put on a list.
Didn't the guy Reagan or whoever get out of prison recently?
I thought that was the John Lennon guy. I thought it was the John Lennon guy.
I thought the John Lennon guy got denied, though, didn't he?
I don't know.
One of those two?
Look into that one. I forget. I thought it was the guy who shot the president. He got out of prison.
Sirhan was, I believe, RFK's assassin, and I want to say he got released.
Okay.
There you go.
But to go back what Biden was saying about the whole declaring emergencies thing, that's exactly what Grisham did there in New Mexico, and it did not work out well for her at this point. The thing is, there's actually been legislation submitted in the last few days federally to actually stop people from losing 2A rights under emergencies now. And this is stuff that's happened at a state level since 2020 lockdowns, because they were trying to strip rights back then. And there's a lot of states that were like, nah, fuck that. You're not taking away our gun rights in emergencies, dude.
Well, I mean, that was the first fucking thing that they did during Katrina, right? They're like going through house to house, like, do you have any weapons? Do you have any weapons? And they found that old woman, right? And they're like, okay, you doing okay in your miss? Like, yo, no, I'm just doing okay, blah, blah, blah. They're like, do you have any weapons? Like, oh, I just got this old handgun just in case, this old revolver. They're like, gun, get her. And they fucking put her on the ground, took her fucking gun, and they're like, all right, good job, everybody, high five. Left her there, and then she got robbed. Like the same woman, like a day later, got robbed by a bunch of bandits because they had guns and she didn't. I mean, not saying like, you know, if she had a gun, she would have been able to fight off the bandits, but maybe it would have been a deterrent. Maybe she could have like pulled a gun and then been like, oh shit, Granny's strapping. Let's get the fuck out of here. I don't know. You don't know how fucking things would have went.
There was another
It's
story.
better to have
during that
options
time.
than none.
There was another story during that time of a bar owner who had, I think it was a 12 gauge and some other weapons that they were defending their bar from looters from. And it was a National Guard came by, saw them, took their shit, and were like, oh, you got any more guns? And they're just like, no. And they busted up the bar to try to find anything else they could.
Yeah, because when it comes down to it, the police are going to follow orders. And the people who give them orders are going to order them to do things that you and me don't like. In fact, probably would shoot them for. And that's why they don't want us to have guns, because they know that they're planning to do things that we would shoot them if we knew that they were doing them.
I mean, not even if they are. I mean, to be not as coy, perhaps, is the fact that they are doing stuff that, honestly, they deserve to be executed for the high crimes of treason.
Yep.
To the American people.
And just the corruption that we have. I mean, like, we started this whole chat with that. Like, the corruption, the level of corruption that we just accept in this country today. You look at tobacco science going back. You look at, like, the COVID thing and all of the, like, studies and stuff that got pushed under and blah, 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 right? Why? Well, because it's bad for Big Pharma. It's bad for Pfizer, who is making a fuck ton of money right now, who put a bunch of money in everyone's pockets so that they would go along with what Pfizer wants, right? Like, that's all it is. That's all it is. It's all it's ever been, and that's all it will ever be until we're all broke, homeless, and fucking minorities in our own country.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's like these are the same people that are willing to strip our inalienable rights that are human rights. The first 10 are what they can't do, but willing to like give those up because Bloomberg paid them money, so they have to basically put this legislation in that will do everything they can to neuter the hell out of us, so we're passive sheep.
Oh, and like, there's a million ways that they do this too, and we've talked about this too. Like, dude, catching up from zero to like where on my level of understanding of what's going on, and I'm not saying like, oh, I'm some genius who know. Just you spend enough time fucking learning about this stuff, and you, by necessity, just by the volume of things going on, gain an understanding of it, right? And just because you don't have an understanding doesn't mean like you're not smart. It just means you haven't looked into it enough, and you need to look into it more. And it, like, some of it just seems insane, and that's a big part of it too, right? Some of the stuff that they're up to seems so evil and insane that it's hard to believe. And because it's hard to believe, it's easy to dismiss. It's easy to like look the other way or think that it's just bullshit. But then you find out piece by piece, and this has happened to me several times about things that I'm like, oh, that's bullshit. Oh, really? That actually happened? And I can't think of anything off the top of my head right now. It's happened multiple times where like something just seemed so crazy and unbelievable that I dismissed it. And then later on, it was confirmed to be true, you know? And like, you really have to dig deep into and they like it. They like it like that, where you have to know so much about this and dig so deep into it that you just sound crazy. You sound crazy to everybody who hasn't dug into it, and then they can ignore you. I'm like, That's where the term conspiracy theorist and the tinfoil hat and Bigfoot and UFOs and everything else that you believe in, right, buddy? Ha ha ha. Fuck off, right?
Mhm.
But it's all true, especially the part where they're putting stuff in the water to make us complacent, to make us not as intelligent, to make us more docile and go along with things like fluoride, like hydrofluorosilicic acid, like all of the endocrine disruptors that they don't even test for that are in the water, literally turning fish in the Potomac, male fish, their testicles are turning into ovaries because they live in this water with so much endocrine disruptor in it. And you wonder why we have, like so many people that are transitioning today. Like I heard it was like 10% of Zoomers identify as something other than just like straight and binary.
It's
And then
over 19% actually.
Right, I heard
Yeah.
it was almost just about a 20.
Yeah,
That's
that's a social
insane, dude.
pathogen mixed with a biological pathogen. This is the result.
People my age, when we were that age, it was like a fraction of a percent, if that.
Yeah,
And
it was
now
like
it's
that one weirdo that lived in town. It wasn't like, yeah,
Right.
it was
But also,
it
it's just a cool thing to do, just to fit in.
the
and
social
there might be
pathogen.
that,
Yeah,
I think there's that going along with it too, right? Because like when I was in high school, like the kids who didn't fit in, the kids who got abused or whatever it was, who like didn't fit in with society and had to fucking rebel against things, were the goths, and to some extent like the stoner fucking like grunge kids or whatever. But it was the goths who were like, oh, I don't fit in with society, I want to be different than everybody, so I'm going to dress exactly the same as my group of friends. I want to be different, so I'm going to be the same. Like it's retarded. It was retarded back then. It's retarded now. This is retarded now. This is but it's worse because back then it was like, oh, you got a piercing and you dyed your hair black. Now it's you cut your fucking dick off.
yeah. No, I mean it's honestly it's like my moment of enlightenment to what you're saying was like I think it was like 17, 18, and I was at a Rancid No Effects punk show, and then like the guys on stage, he was just like, I look out and I see people with like blue hair and piercings and tattoos and all wearing punked out, and I just look around and I see a whole room full of individuals, and then they all chant back, no shit, no cue, just went, yes we are, and I was just like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, no, this is just a uniform of an ideology. This is not being an individual.
And it's very easy to get swept up in that when you're young because you've got like all of these new hormones and testosterone and whatever going through your system, and you don't know how to deal with it. And like fucking like I remember being 15 years old and having like a girl mess with me and like hurt my feelings or whatever, and it was like the biggest thing that had ever happened. And oh my god, can you believe? And I'd go to everybody and talk about, oh, this chick who did this and blah blah blah, you know what I mean? Because it was a big deal to me at the time. Because when you're that age, everything's a big deal to you because you've never dealt with anything, because you don't know anything. It's the first time you've dealt with anything, and you've got these powers that should not be above you telling you, oh, well, you're right about this and you're right about that. And that's another thing about being that age is like you're full of yourself. You have, like, at least I was cocky as fuck. I thought I knew everything, right? And if someone would come along and tell me that I was wrong about something, I would be almost like violently offended about it. You know what I mean? Like it'd be hard not to fucking fight somebody about some shit, depending.
Absolutely.
But, yeah. Fast forward to today, they've weaponized that. They've weaponized it. They've politicized it, and they're turning it against. Like, think about this. Like, you've got like a 12-year-old daughter, and she's been going to public school, and one day she comes home with short hair, and you're like, oh, I guess Susan got a haircut. Whatever. Busy at work, doing fucking 70 hours a week or whatever. Couple months goes by, Susan is now blue hair and other shit. Like, okay,
hey, nose piercing,
Susan, but whatever. And then pretty soon it's not even Susan anymore, and like he is wearing pants, and if you don't call him about everything, then you're gonna lose your daughter. And they come to you and they're like, you can either have a dead daughter or an alive son, right?
Yeah, I mean,
if you don't go along with it, you lose custody.
Exactly.
And that's exactly what they did to Chloe Cole and other kids.
Fucked up, dude. They know what they're doing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, it's just the fact that they they took the best parts of our humanity, which is our empathy and our understanding, the things, our attachments that make us, more than just animalistic lizard-brained, carnivores, and they weaponize that. They've used our best assets against us, and that's the part that I think that's probably the most despicable thing about this type of movement, because it's weaponizing. Go
I
ahead.
was really
Sorry.
interested in sociology. Like I studied it a little bit in college. And what I've come to learn years later is that the people who were really, really, really good at studying sociology and went far with it and got PhDs in it and then got jobs in government are now social engineers. And they're using what they learned in school back then to manipulate society and mold it and change it in the way that they see fit and put it in directions that they want it to go instead of letting people determine their own fate and their own direction,
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing with psychiatry and psychology. All these people that are getting into those things in the last 10 to 20 years now are all insane, and they're going into those fields because they want to diagnose their own insanity.
There's a lot of that going on too. I think psychology's full of, like, think about how many like crazy fucking bitches.
I mean, honestly, yeah. It's a soft science, of course. It's not even a real science. So
well, it's not only that, but it's like, hey, there's something wrong with me. If I study the fuck out of psychology, maybe I can figure me out. And if I can figure me out, well, then figuring you out's no problem. That's the thought. And like maybe for some of them that works, but I know for a lot of them, they never figure themselves out, and they certainly never figure anyone else out either.
Oh yeah. It's just like let me guess, a field where you get to talk to people to emotionally manipulate them into doing what you perceive is better. I can't think of a more inclined field for a feminine mindset than that, in all honesty.
Well, there's psychologists, there's people like Jordan Peterson, right? Jordan Peterson, if you listen to him, like what he does is like if you were to do a session with Jordan Peterson, he would listen to your problems and he would offer alternative points of view, encouragement, and maybe a couple of solutions here or there for minor problems that can be solved.
Right.
You know what I mean? But like, as far as affirming someone's issue, like, you go to a psychologist and you're like, I think I'm a woman. And they're like, you know what? You are a woman. Instead of being like, well, let's examine this. Let's talk about it. Like, what makes you feel like that? Why do you think that you are? What is a woman? What is not? And maybe like give them some logical reasoning to deal with and some literature to go home with that is, like pertinent to the situation that they find themselves in. And after like a couple of weeks, maybe, make some suggestions or whatever. No, they're just like, you are a woman. Here's some drugs. Let me get you in touch with the surgeon. And that's another one. The surgeons, man. Think about this. If you were a sadistic person who wanted to hurt other people, right? You want to like cut people open, but you don't want to get in trouble. What do? You become a surgeon. There's a disproportionately large amount of sociopaths, psychopaths, and sadistic people who are surgeons. If you look at the numbers, it's crazy.
Oh, and even the historical anecdote of that. I mean, like one of the predecessor to Jack the Ripper in America, we had H.H. Holmes, who was actually, he studied medicine, surgery, before he failed out because obviously he had no real medical interest in helping people as a surgeon. The Beast of Chicago, the guy who built that horror house and cut up people.
Yeah,
that guy's a nut.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, there's several instances of serial killers like having kind of basically a medical fascination with dissection and human anatomy.
Right, yeah. Just like I don't know, teachers who have access to children, and for that matter, to probably a lesser extent, priests, and also like, I don't know, like scout leaders and shit like that, like youth group people, church people, that kind of stuff. why do some of them put themselves in those positions for work? So they have access to children, right? Because they're pedophiles. Or, and here's the big one.
Or working at Disney
Yeah, that's a great one. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like
and Nickelodeon.
the addiction to power, the sociopathic, nihilistic, only care about yourself and only make decisions that further your own power. The ones who are very good at that end up as politicians, right? All these not all of them, but a lot of these politicians have no feeling of what it, like they don't have human emotions. They are good at like pretending like they have human emotions, but they don't actually have them. They don't have empathy. They don't have like love and hate and stuff like that as you and I would think of it, because they're sociopaths. The number of sociopaths in Washington, D.C., again, is disproportionately high compared to the general population.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, to be honest, it's like, look at like what are the career field of most politicians in Washington or in general. They're lawyers, right? So they actually they're trained to have moral grayness, if you will, or a moral vacuum, as it's called in law school. So when you have a whole entire group of people ruling everything that have a capability of a moral vacuum and lack of attachment, I mean, that's a huge problem.
It's a recipe for disaster. And then you throw on top of it like greed and everything else that makes people end up in fucking office, Like,
yeah,
we don't have a country anymore, man. We've got an auction house is what we've got, and it's sad. But on that note, we've been going an hour and 51 minutes. I have to clean up and do some things, so I got to actually end the stream now. But I do appreciate everyone for being here. I do appreciate everyone for being part of the panel, for adding your 2 cents in tonight, and it's been fun. It's been fun, been interesting. Kind of went all over the place. 2 hours flew by pretty quick tonight, actually. But we'll see you guys next time.
God, it did.
Be back on Tuesday night for the 2A Taco Tuesday with E Honda, where we actually do a good old-fashioned, honest-to-goodness gun chat, where we talk about guns and Second Amendment-related issues and whatever's going on in the gun community. And like I pose some gun questions to you guys, and we go through some scenarios sometimes. And yeah, it's a fun, good old-fashioned gun chat. So tune in on Tuesday for Taco Tuesday with E Honda and friends. And we'll see you guys tomorrow night on Never Enough Ammo's channel. And I hope you guys have a good night. Peace out.
Peace.
Peace.